Hi everybody and welcome back to the channel. My name's Nicole and this is Dusty Book Sniffers, and today we are here for the start of a reading vlog. I am going to be vlogging my experience reading Sally Hepworth for the first time, so let's get started. Morning or good evening everybody, and welcome back. Thank you for clicking on this video and seeing what it's all about. If you should happen to be new here, make sure that you hit that subscribe button and the little bell icon beside it, and then that way you won't miss out on any future uploads. We have lots of different things happening on the channel, and we also have a Discord as well, and all that information is down underneath this video. If you're a returning viewer and you've yet to subscribe, click the button. What are you waiting for? You've come back. Click it, and while you're there, give me a thumbs up as well. And to all those that are returning, thank you so much for coming back again. Don't forget to leave me a comment down below, and I will have a question of the day towards the end of the video, and we can start that discussion up down in the comments. All right, we've got all the business bits out of the way. Let's talk about Sally Hepworth, shall we? I know absolutely nothing about her writing style. I know that she writes predominantly, and I hate to say this, women's fiction, centered around family and stuff like that. So that's all I really know. But I have had many friends tell me that I should be reading Sally Hepworth because she is well worth the read. Some have also said to me that she's very similar to Liane Moriarty. And I've only read one of Liane Moriarty's, so she's still relatively new to me as well. And I'll probably do a vlog about her books as well that I have on my shelf and what I think about them, and whether she is going to be an author for me. So that's the whole idea of this vlog, is to find out if Sally Hepworth is going to be an automatic buy, or if she's a sometimes author, or and basically if she's the author for me. Now, all I really know about her is that I believe she lives in Melbourne. I could be completely, no, Sydney maybe, I don't know. Anyway, she lives in Australia. And my goal this year was to read more Australian authors. So obviously some of them are going to be new to me. And I think just about all of them that I have read this year have been new to me. So I've never read anything by them. So yeah, so I'm looking forward to doing this vlog, and I hope that you come along for the journey with me. I am reading these back to back, so I'm going to be staying in Sally Hepworth's world. The first one that I'm going to start with is The Family Next Door. This one is was published in 2018, and it basically is a suburban street, and it's centered around families, and it soon becomes clear that Isabel's choice of neighborhood was no accident, and her presence might bring even more secrets to light. So it sounds like it's a little bit of like family drama type book, but we will find out more about that as we're going along for the day. Then the next one after that, I'm going to read The Things We Keep, and this one, this is a poignant love story. Is what it's got on the back, and it's got a few other things as well, but I think that will probably give it a little bit away, so I'm not going to get too much into it. And if you've been around for a while, you know that I don't like to read the synopsis, because I feel like some of the books get given away, like the major plot points and that get given away, and I'd like to go into my books blind. And because this is a testing if this author is for me, I really need to go into these blind. So as I said, a few friends have just told me bits and pieces, and that's about it. And then the last one that I have on my shelf is The Mother's Promise. So these were all purchased secondhand. A total of $6 for these. These are all $2 each. So I'm not too much out of pocket if I don't like her. And basically I can always take them back to Bob the Booker, because that's where I got them. I think I got them from, though. I think I got these ones from the Kingaroy Book Fest, but either way, I can take them back to Bob the Booker, because I know that Savannah won't like this sort of stuff. She's not into that sort of stuff at the moment. I could leave them on the shelf and she might enjoy them. But without further ado, let's get into me reading these books and what I thought of them. Hi, just checking in. I'm going to start with Sally Hepworth's The Family Next Door. This is basically just a neighborhood story with secrets and whatnot. We're following the story of Essie, and Essie has 2 young children at home, and also we have a character named Ange that is new to the neighborhood. That's just what I've read in the first chapter. Essie made a huge mistake with her baby suffering from postnatal depression. She has since recovered, now has her second child, and so the story is going to flow on from there. That's just from the first chapter. So basically I'm going to listen and also read along with this, but right now I'm going to listen to it because I'm actually, as you can see, I'm set up to do some cross stitch because I've got to get some stuff done. So far, I'm really liking the narrator. I ended up getting this on BorrowBox, and this is the first time I've ever read anything by Sally Hepworth. And as I said in the introduction, I'm going to be reading 3 of her books back to back and see if she is an author for me. She is an Australian author as well, so it's sticking with my goal to read more Australian authors. And as I said, I'm about 3 chapters in right now, and I'm so far intrigued with the story, and I'm enjoying the story, and I'm enjoying the narrator. All right, so I'm going to keep listening to it, and I'll check in later with my thoughts as the story progresses. Okay, so checking in for The Family Next Door. I'm up to page 98, which is chapter 17. Basically, this is just like a suburban story, essentially. I get the sneaky suspicion, like, this is the point I check in, because this is where I'm either going to DNF a book or I'm going to continue on with it. I always give a book about 100 pages. It has to be pretty bad for me to DNF it before that point, because I have been pleasantly surprised in the past. So basically, we are following the story of Essie. It started out with Essie, but there is also Anne, Fran and Isabel, and their husbands and their kids. Isabel is new to the suburb. It is, from what I can gather, it's like a quiet little street that they all live in, and no one really knows anything about anybody. They're just polite, they say hello, they sometimes talk, but they don't really get involved in each other's business as such. So each one of them so far has had an issue, or there is a secret or something like that, and Isabel is new and they're all intrigued by her. At first they think that she is, well, they actually still think that at this point that she is gay, which there's nothing wrong with that. They've all said that there's nothing wrong with that, because she said that she had her ex-partner. She's from Sydney. She's now living in Melbourne, and they don't really know much about her. But Essie, they've just had like a neighbourhood watch meeting because there's been some issues and all that sort of stuff. It is centered around their families. There's a few little laugh out loud moments, a few things that, you know, is so true about motherhood and stuff like that. But Isabel is the dark horse of the story at the moment. She has some sort of secret, and Essie was supposed to go to the neighbourhood watch meeting for the first time, and she ended up spending the evening with Isabel. And Isabel works for a non-for-profit organisation that finds missing kids, is my understanding at this point. She just touched on it briefly, but then it started talking about something about, like, she's there to look for something. So I'm thinking that is a little bit, someone's done something in this neighbourhood because she's hoping to find it in this neighbourhood. So that's where I'm at the moment. I'm really liking the story. I'm liking the banter between the characters, and but it's not an exceptional story, but I'm having fun reading it. So yeah, maybe it's a little bit different. It's flowing really well. The narrator's really good. I'm finished doing cross stitch for the night. I can barely keep my eyes open at the moment. So I'm just gonna, I've got a plate of nibblies here and some nuts and you know, carrots and all that sort of stuff. I'm going to eat that for dinner, and I'm going to continue reading this. I probably will. This is going pretty quickly. I think there's only 300 pages in it. 330. I'm already up to 100. So I'm probably going to end up finishing this tonight, if not first thing in the morning. But I will check in again when I'm finished the book and give you my final thoughts. Oh my God, I cannot believe what I just read. Oh my goodness. Everything's going along fine, just, you know, normal every day in suburbia. This is happening, that's happening. So all these characters have something going on in their life. We've got infidelity. We have possibly not your child. Child snatching. Like, it's all happening in this book, in this sleepy little cul-de-sac street. It's all happening, and none of them really know what's going on, but yeah, it's all starting to come to light. And poor Essie, she's losing her proverbial shit over being a mum. She's suffering from postnatal depression, and that's not funny, but yeah, she's not coping and all the rest of it, but I just feel so sorry for her. And then what was just laid down on her, because she's now in like a she's at the hospital in the psych ward where they're looking after her and making sure she's all right and all the rest of it. And someone's just come in and laid a whole heap of heavy stuff on her. And I'm like, oh my God, that was the most inappropriate time to do that. But okay. Anyway, let's get back to the book. Okay, so it is the next day, and I'm checking in for my final thoughts on The Family Next Door by Sally Hepworth. Okay, all I'm going to say is I absolutely love this book. A couple of my friends have said that she is very similar to Liane Moriarty. Now, I've only ever read one book of Liane Moriarty's, and that was Apples Never Fall. I absolutely loved that book. I was so drawn into the story, and Sally Hepworth did exactly the same thing with this book. Now, I'm not sure whether this is her first book or not. I didn't look up anything. I didn't want to get spoilt for anything. I just wanted to go into these books blind. They were on my shelf, and that's what I've done. So basically, this is essentially a suburban family drama type book, but it's a little bit, there's the drama, but it's not heavy drama. Does that make sense? Because you know how sometimes you can read those family drama books and it's just like drama after drama after drama? This has it, but it's more dealing with how well do you really know your neighbours? Like, you know, that they've got things going on in their life that you don't necessarily know about. And this is very much that. There's a lot of laugh out loud moments, and there was a lot of moments like dialogue and all the rest of it. And I'm like, oh my God, I've had conversations like that with people, and I'm, you know, and eye rolling and stuff like that. I'm not a great small talker, and Essie's not a great small talker either. So I really sympathised with her. But as I said in the other clips and whatnot, this is based around Essie and a secret around Essie, but you don't know that there is a secret around Essie until later in the book. So that is a little bit of a spoiler, but that's essentially what the beginning of the book is setting you up for at the end. This part the way through this book, it was just blowing my mind where the story was going and all that sort of stuff. So some of the topics that are covered in the book is infidelity, illegitimate children, choices we make, and also post-natal depression. And Essie, you find out very early in the book, in the first chapter, Essie with her first child had really bad postnatal depression, and she was hospitalized for it. And now we're a few years down the track after that incident, which opens up the story, and we're a few years down the track and she's got another child, and everybody's a little bit, her husband and her mother, Barbara, are really concerned that she's not going to cope again. And so they're sort of keeping an eye on her, and then Essie starts acting really strange when a stranger comes to Pleasant Court. Of course, we've got, you know, the friends and all the rest of it, but most of the time these women that have been associating with each other only sort of just give a wave, and they're not really in each other's lives until Isabel comes along, and then they're a little bit curious about her, and Essie essentially becomes infatuated with her. And then there's a reason why, and it is also explained, this phenomenon that happens between two people when they're older and all that sort of stuff. And I don't want to say any more than that because it will actually spoil it. So I thoroughly enjoyed it. I have actually given this 4 stars. It was a great, easy read. I started listening to it, as you've seen, while I was stitching, and then I did immersive reading, and I didn't go to bed until midnight because it sucked me in and I wanted to finish it. And then I went and looked at my August TBR, and I noticed that because Chrissy has picked my TBR for August, and she picked it a couple of months ago because August is my birthday month. And so so she has picked my TBR, and it's all her favorite books that she recommends, and this was on it, and I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. She goes, "If you jumped the gun a bit," and I'm like, yeah. So I'm waiting to get a message from her to see what I said to her. Put a Leanne Moriarty on the list, your favorite Leanne Moriarty, and see if I like her as well. I've already read one and I really loved it, which was Apples Never Fall, which I just said. But I haven't read anything else of her. So, and I believe that Chrissy said that she has one of hers that is her favourite book. So I'm hoping that she'll put that on there, and I've got it on my shelf because I've got a lot of them secondhand. But 4 stars from me, The Family Next Door. Absolutely loved it. I think you'll love it too, especially if you like Australian authors and you like that suburban type thing. There was a couple of little things that, you know, could have been done better, but, you know, hey, that's just me nitpicking. But anyway, I'm going to move on to the next one. The next book that I'm going to be reading is The Things We Keep. I haven't read anything on the back of the cover because I don't want to spoil it for me. I'm just going to go into it blind. But as I said in the intro, I believe that Sally Hepworth actually writes a lot of like family drama, family orientated sort of books. So we'll see if this one is similar. Hi everybody and welcome back. I am just doing my first check-in for Sally Hepworth's The Things We Keep, and I think I'm going to end up crying in this if the first chapter and a half is anything to go by, especially the opening paragraphs. So basically it starts out with Anna. We're learning about her 15 months ago. This is where we've gone back to, and she goes, "No one trusts anything I say. If I point out, for example, the toast is burning or it's time for the 6 o'clock news, people marvel. How about that? It is time for the 6 o'clock news. Well done, Anna. Maybe if I was if I were 88 instead of 38, I wouldn't care." So, and then it goes on, we learn that she actually has early onset Alzheimer's. Her mother passed away from it. And she has the gene for it, and yeah, so she has early dementia, essentially, Alzheimer's. So, yeah, and she has been taken to an assisted living. She is a twin, and her twin brother has taken her there. And she's ended up there and hasn't argued the point because of something that happened to her nephew that she caused. And she feels really bad about that. And so, yeah, and I'm like, within the first chapter, I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to cry on that. So I'm going to keep listening to it. I've got some more housework to do. I'm going to keep listening to it. Hopefully that won't pull the tears out of me too easy, but I just cannot even begin to imagine being 38 years old and not being able to remember things and losing your way and having that, staring down that barrel. That is some scary stuff there. But it seems like she is in the right place. So hopefully we have a lot of happy moments and not all sad moments. I'm going to keep going with my housework, and I'll check in at about page 100. I usually check in and let you know whether I'm going to keep reading it or whether I'm going to DNF it. Hi everybody, I'm back again. I'm still doing some cross stitch. This chart seems to be taking me forever to get done, but I'm checking in for The Things That We Keep by Sally Hepworth. I've just gone to chapter 14, which is page 124. So you're probably wondering, am I going to keep going with it or am I going to DNF it? I'm actually going to keep going with it. I'm enjoying the story. It is a hard topic. It is about Alzheimer's, and there's two young characters in it, Luke and Anna. Luke has like a frontal lobe dementia, and Anna has Alzheimer's. So for Luke, it affects his speech and also movement. And with Anna, it's like she has Alzheimer's, so she's forgetting everything. Any short-term memory or anything like that just disappears into what she refers to it like a black hole. Long-term memory, she sort of remembers and whatnot, but you know, this is sort of covering, like, they're in assisted living. They are getting closer to they're getting closer. We've just gone through like a home visit and how Anna's reacting to that. It's quite hard. We also have another story of Eve and her daughter, and Eve is the cook. So we're starting to find out things that are happening in the assisted living through Eve's eyes. Eve has a trauma of her own that she's going through. She's recently lost her husband because of and I believe he's obviously taken his own life. I get that feeling. It hasn't actually said that. It's just, or I may have missed it. I've had a couple of phone calls, so, you know, how it is. But anyway, the story, like, I'm really feeling for Anna. Like, she's 39, 30, it's telling the story of 38, 39 she is, and what she's experiencing, and like how she doesn't want to live with this. She's seen her mother, like, she has the memories of what happened to her mother and all the rest of it. And so it's just, it's heartbreaking. Like, just thinking about it, it's really heartbreaking. Like, I could not imagine at that age going through something like that. Like, it's just, and only 5% of people that develop Alzheimer's are under the age of 65. So, like, there's a couple of little bits and pieces thrown in there just so you get a better understanding of where she's coming from. I am listening to it at the moment, and I'm probably going to end up listening to the whole thing. I may break for lunch and do some immersive reading, but Therese Palmer is the narrator on this book, and I'm thoroughly enjoying listening to her read. I don't mind listening to Therese Palmer. Those that don't know who she is an Australian actress. She was in A Discovery of Witches. And yeah, so, and I think she also narrated that as well. So I actually like listening to her. I know that I'm going in for a good time when I have her as a narrator. So I don't have too many narrators that I will listen to their books that they've read, because I read so many books, so I get so many different ones, but she is definitely a go-to one. I'm enjoying the story. As I said, we've just had a home visit and it didn't go as well as Anna thought it was going to go, although she had forgotten it was happening. But I think it was the expectations of the people, like her brother Jack and his wife and the children. And I think their expectations were a little bit shattered as well, because it is, not only is it hard for the person that, you know, is going through it, it's hard for the families as well. And that's what this is sort of alluding to in this section that I'm in right now. And there is some stuff happening with Luke and Anna as well. Like they're getting to know each other a lot better. And I guess because they are in an assisted living home, there's only 12 residents in this home. It is a very small one, but they're predominantly older people, and they are the only two young ones. So I'm happy to say that I'm going to continue on with it, and I'm getting a lot of stitching done by listening to the books. It's keeping me motivated. It's just gone 12 o'clock here, so I'm going to break for lunch and come back to stitching and listening. But I just thought I'd check in. I spent a little time on sprints today as well, and yeah, so it's a bit exciting. So I'm getting a lot done. The exciting part is I'm getting a lot done, which is great. So anyway, I'm going to head off, have some lunch, and I will probably check in when I'm finished the book. Well, good morning everybody and welcome back. I'm here for my final check-in on Sally Hepworth's The Things We Keep. It is first thing in the morning on Friday morning. It's just gone 7:30. I dropped my daughter off. It is freezing here this morning. I had just made my morning coffee and I do need it. This is my life essence, my coffee. So let me just sit that down there. And of course it's first thing in the morning, so I'm going to have old lady voice, so I do apologise. Okay, so Sally Hepworth, as you know, I'm doing a vlog right now of, well, obviously you know that because you're watching the video, duh. Anyway, this is the second book in the 3 books that I'm reading that I had on my shelf. I got all these books secondhand. I don't know whether I said that at the beginning of the video or not, but I got all these books secondhand from the book fest here, and I thought, you know what, I've never tried it, I'll give her a go, and I'm glad that I have. Now, the first book I read I absolutely loved. I did like this one as well, but in different ways. Okay, so it was a little bit different, this one, because the first one was distinctly, I felt like I was in Australia. It was distinctly Australian. The accent was Australian of the narrator, because I'm listening to these as well as reading along at night. So the first half of the book is generally I listen to, and then I finish the day off reading while listening along, just to keep into that momentum. So basically this one was a little bit different. This one was set in the United States. I believe it was set in New Jersey, so the spelling through it was American. It had a very American tone, and all that sort of stuff. So if I haven't already said it, this is following the story of a young girl, young lady or young woman, however you want to say it, who has early onset Alzheimer's, and she is 38 years old when we meet her in the beginning of the book. So, and she has gone into assisted living. So, tough subject. And we also have another character in this book named Eve, who is married to, essentially she's married to a crook. He has ripped a lot of people off, like taken their money, you know, those money scams that go around where, you know, just normal everyday mum and dad people put their money into it and then it turns out to be a huge scam. Well, he's one of those people, and Eve is dealing with the aftermath of what he did and also the ending to what he did as well, and she's trying to help her daughter get through it. And Clem is also a character in the book as well, which is her daughter, Eve's daughter. the backdrop for this, you know, and we've also got secondary characters and all that sort of stuff. So Anna's family and, you know, people that go to school with Clem and their reactions to things and whatnot. So the backdrop for this, or the setting for this, is essentially an assisted living facility. It is for the elderly, and so Anna is a young person in an elderly assisted living because unfortunately there is not enough to cater for people of her age with Alzheimer's, because it is essentially an old person's disease. That's the way the world perceives it, and all that sort of stuff. And so I think there was one section in here Sally Hepworth put in there that I don't know if this statistic is correct or not. It possibly could be, because you wouldn't just throw out any old statistic if you're in a book, because people are going to go and research it. But she did say that only 5% under the age of the population that develop Alzheimer's under the age of 65. So yeah, so or 5% of people that have the gene and whatnot can develop it under age of 65. So yeah, it was something along those lines. Anyway, it's a very small number in comparison to the elderly people. So anyway, Anna, it starts out with Anna, it goes 15 months ago, and it tells you straight up in the first couple of paragraphs that she is a 38-year-old woman who has been diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and she's heading to an assisted living. So you know straight up that it's going to be a heavy book. Now, obviously this is a fiction book and all that sort of stuff, but it does pose a lot of questions as you're reading it, you know, like what would you do? You know, for your loved one, how far would you go? How far would you keep them safe and all the rest of it? Would you stop them from, you know, being happy and all that sort of stuff? So anyway, Anna ends up in this assisted living place. So just to give a little bit of a backdrop of the story, and the reason she's going there and her brother is putting her there is because there is another young person in there around the same age that has frontal lobe dementia. So I believe the way it was portrayed is similar to what Bruce Willis has. The language patterns, the moving patterns, all that is getting... when it was mentioned, that's the first thought I had. Oh, this is like the one that... the dementia that Bruce Willis has, which is a sad situation. But yeah, and so Anna meets Luke and she thinks he's hot. Straight off the bat, she thinks he's cute. You know, the moment she got her diagnosis, she left her husband, she moved in with her brother, and because her mother also had Alzheimer's as well, so she knows what she's in for, and she made the decision to leave her husband and all that sort of stuff. That was sort of glossed over in the book. It didn't go into detail. It was very... like blasé. Like I thought that would be a major life decision, but obviously they mustn't have been happy. Like I didn't really get that sense from it, so it was a little bit like more information on that aspect. But the story unfolds, and the reason I said, you know, how far would you go to keep your loved one safe, and all that sort of stuff. Now, there's nothing untoward going on in the assisted living, so I'll just say that off the get-go. There's nothing untoward. They're not being mistreated or anything like that. There is a little bit of a side story that you sort of cotton onto pretty quickly with the director on what he's doing and whatnot with the assisted living thing. And Eve ends up working there as the cook, and this is how she is introduced into the story. And she gets close to Anna, and basically, without giving too much away, when she first meets Anna is in a wheelchair. Excuse me. Anna is in a wheelchair. She's sitting in the garden. Eve has been shown around, and she noticed that Anna has dropped a scarf. So she goes over, picks the scarf up. At this stage, Anna is unaware of who she is or anything like that, has no recollection of ever meeting her before or anything like that, and she places the scarf on her lap and says, you don't want to lose this. And then Anna grabs her hand and says, please help me. Now, your mind automatically thinks, oh my god, what's happened, and all this, and you start to panic because you've been drawn into the story at this age, at this stage. For me, this was a pretty hard book to read. Yeah, I just thought, oh my god, like, it made me start thinking of all different sorts of things. It didn't make me ugly cry or anything like that, but there were a few scenes in it, especially around Clem dealing with what she was dealing with, being a young girl, and that was pretty heavy for her, the stuff that she had to deal with. And also, like, my heart went out to Eve as well, because she had no idea what her husband was doing, and then, you know, of course my heart went out to Anna and Luke in this story and their families. And so yeah, I was just like, my heart was getting, you know, broken in certain places and all the rest of it. It didn't, as I said, didn't make me ugly cry. A tear come up every now and again, especially, as I said, especially for Clem. And basically the way it all played out in the end, you know, like, you didn't go right down the path of her demise or anything like that with Anna, but you still felt so sorry for her, being so young, so much life to live, and just being robbed from her, and also the joy of, you know, from her nephews and also from her family and all that sort of stuff. And it really got me thinking that, you know, I don't think I would like to put that burden on my family. And so I can understand some of the choices that Anna was wanting to make and stuff like that. Like, I was really relating to that, thinking, you know, I don't think I'd want to put that, but then at the same time, that's probably really selfish, because it leaves a lot of unanswered questions and stuff like that. So yeah, so there are some trigger warnings in this. Obviously, the early onset of Alzheimer's. There is also suicide is a theme in this book as well, and as along with a child being bullied. And of course, if you've been ripped off by any of those scammers, I probably wouldn't recommend you read this book either, because it's probably going to trigger you as well. So what are my thoughts on star rating? I've given it a 4-star rating because while it wasn't as good as the first one, which was The Family Next Door, which I love that, I was right into it. This one didn't. It held me, and the story was absolutely fabulous, but there was just a few things that I felt were glossed over and didn't, like, they made sense, but they didn't make sense, so I sort of pulled it down a little bit. And the other reason that I gave it 5 stars is because I feel like it provoked thought, you know, like, what would I do? Like, you know, what if my husband ended up with Alzheimer's? How would I cope with that? Would I put him into assisted living? Would I, you know, would I try and tough it out myself, and all those sort of things? You know, would it be safer for him and stuff like that, and vice versa? What would he have to deal with, and all that sort of stuff? So it provoked all those thoughts, so that's why it got a 4-star. Anything that can provoke a chain of thought or deep thinking in my book, even if it is a fiction book, deserves to have a high rating. So it's 4 stars for me for Sally Hepworth. So 2 for 2 so far. We're doing all right. So it's looking like Sally Hepworth might just be an author that I will continue to pick up. The last book that I have to read for this vlog is The Mother's Promise. Now, I don't know anything about this one either. I don't want to read the synopsis. I keep going to look at it, but I'm not going to. But I'm guessing, has it got anything on it? Well, there's praise for Sally Hepworth. This is women's fiction at its finest, Leanne Moriarty. So Leanne Moriarty is another one that I like to read. This one was published. Let me just see when this was published. Where is it? 2017 this one was published, so it's a little older. Obviously Sally Hepworth has had more books since then, so I'm looking forward to reading this. I will let you know. I've got this on audio as well, so I will be listening to this throughout the day for the sprints that are on. It's Friday, so that's 8-hour sprints, so I'll probably end up having that finished. I've got them all on Borrow Box, which has been absolutely fabulous as well. But I'm going to get on with the rest of my day, and I will check in. So far I've been checking in after the first couple of chapters, just to let you know the tone of the book, and then I check in at my DNF point, if I'm going to DNF or not, and then I will give you my final thoughts. Alright, have a lovely day everybody, and I'm going to get on with mine. My little tree is going in. My favourite tree is a weeping willow, and I like this style of house as well, so I've put that in there, and yeah, it's almost done. We've got another alphabet to do down the bottom, and then I'll be just doing the border. So hopefully it'll be finished by the time I'm finished doing this vlog. Alright, so I'm checking in for The Mother's Promise. This is going to be a pretty heavy book, I think. I'm on sprints at the moment, and I didn't check in after the first couple of chapters. I'm up to chapter 10. I've just started chapter 10, so I've just finished chapter 9. This book, it's going to be heavy. Like, it is, you find out very early on in the piece, I think it's Zoe. No. Alice, sorry. So Alice is the mother of Zoe. Zoe is 15 years old. Alice is in her early 40s or just turned 40, and she has just been diagnosed with ovarian cancer. It is the same cancer that killed her mother. You find that out like in the first chapter, like in the first page. Zoe, she doesn't want to tell her, and I believe that we're sort of progressing on a little bit, and Zoe is suffering from anxiety. So she has social anxiety. She's in high school. She struggles with all sorts of issues, eating in front of people, she just wants to be invisible, and all that sort of stuff. And so she's suffering from anxiety. So we've got her story as well. And then we also have Kate. Now Kate is a nurse where Alice has gone to, where she's got her diagnosis, and so and Alice has no one, and Kate is quite surprised by that, because she thinks that, you know, like, surely there's got to be someone that can be your support person and stuff like that. And so Kate is struggling to understand that, but Kate also has infertility issues. So it's going to be a pretty heavy book, and it's yeah, so I don't know how I'm going to go, because I have had, you know, scares in the past with cancer and cervical cancer and all that sort of stuff. So I don't know how I'm going to go. Hopefully, and I know that I laugh, but I laugh at the most inappropriate times. So just be aware of that. That is just a tick that I have. When something is uncomfortable or anything like that, I just laugh at the most inappropriate times. I guarantee you I am going to offend someone by laughing, but I don't find it humorous. It is just a response that I can't control. It just comes out. So just be aware of that, that's what it is. So yeah, so there's also a social worker as well. Sonia, we haven't really learnt much about her, but she's just starting to come into the story, and yeah, so all we know about her is from where she comes from. People speak their mind, but now the people that she's surrounded with, they seem to hide their feelings and stuff like that. So there was just a little bit of talk about that. So it sounds like it's going to be a fairly interesting story. We've got 4 women that we're following, but I was just talking about Sally Hepworth on Sprints, and Chrissy pretty much nailed it. She articulated herself a lot better than what I can. That Sally Hepworth is very thought-provoking. So the 3 books that this is the 3rd book that I'm reading for this vlog, they are actually quite heavy topics, but they are thought-provoking. Like the other one that I read, The Things We Keep, that was very thought-provoking for me. And just, you know, knowing that, you know, these things are things that I need to think about, you know, not necessarily because I have to think about them, but it's good to think about them and put yourself in that, like, in that mindset of, like, you know, what would you do? Well, you know, this is conversations that you should be having and stuff like that. And I feel like this is probably, like, the infertility side of things and all that sort of stuff. I had, you know, problems when I was younger and all the rest of it. Luckily for me, I was blessed enough that I ended up having 4 children, and you know, I've got grandkids and all that sort of stuff, and not everybody is that blessed and whatnot. So just know, if you go into this book, there's going to be a lot of triggers if you are suffering with infertility, or you know someone close to you that's suffering with ovarian cancer, or yourself, or anything like that. So just be warned that this may not be the book for you, and whatnot. So I'm going to continue on. I'm at page 56 right now. I am in the middle of my Friday sprints. we just went to a sprint, so I'm going to go and listen to the book a little bit more and do some housework. I just got to hang some washing out really because I did all my housework last night, which is good. And yeah, and continue reading on with this. I'll check in at 100 pages or wherever I get up to after the next sprint, because I'll probably get to that during this sprint, and I will check in with you and tell you whether I'm going to continue on with it or not, because so far it's like I'm okay with it, but there's been like that nagging thought, I don't think I want to read this, but at the same time I sort of wanted to read it anyway, so then it's done and dusted out of the way. So I am really liking Sally Hepworth at the moment, but I'm still on the fence about this one. All right, I'm going to go hang out some washing and I'll check in when I get to page 100. Hi everybody, I'm back. I am doing a check-in. Now normally I check in at 100 pages, and I've got so sucked into this story that I'm at a page 179, and when I realised, oh my god, I've nearly finished this book and I haven't even checked in. All right, so what has happened since the last check-in, which was at page 60 something? I said that the social worker had just sort of come into it and we were just learning about her. Oh my god, she is dealing with some stuff, but she is sort of hiding a secret, and it's all to do with around consent and all that sort of stuff. But her storyline has sort of morphed into Alice's and Zoe's story as well. So she is the social worker that is going to be the support person for Alice, and so Alice has just had surgery, and Zoe is home alone, and she is suffering from social anxiety. So she's fine if she's at home, she can do a thing, and if she's on her own, but she craves to be around people, so she's in like a rock and a hard place essentially. But anyway, she suffers from social anxiety, so when she's out and around people, she really does lose it. Like, she can't make eye contact and all that sort of stuff. Anyway, her mum is, you know, in hospital having this surgery, and Zoe's home alone, and the social worker goes around there and just basically makes some assumptions, like she's a very awkward child and all that sort of stuff. And so some things are done to Zoe which really shouldn't have been done, but I sort of understand. Like, she's 15 years old. She obviously knows how to look after herself and everything like that, but she doesn't answer the phone. She gets really nervous around people, so she didn't answer the questions properly, and so you sort of know where I'm going with this, right? But anyway, Zoe is trying to make the best of a bad situation. Not only that, like, there was just... I could have just slapped this social worker right into China, because she goes in there assuming, and then she drops a bombshell. I mean, bad on the mother's part, not telling Zoe what was going on. So it was, you know, lying to Zoe to... so she didn't freak out. Like, I understand why the mother did it. Sometimes we don't tell our children exactly what's going on to try and protect them so they don't freak out. And because she has panic attacks, the mother did this. And then, and then the social worker, and this is a bit of a spoiler, the social worker goes in there and opens up a big yapper to Zoe, and Zoe loses her proverbial, right? But anyway, there's a whole storyline going on there. But Zoe is now trying to be brave and all that sort of stuff. So there's some stuff happening with her, and I think it's going to go in a nice direction for her. Now, Alice is more sick than she has let on to Zoe and all the rest of it, and she has had her surgery, and now she's got to go down a path. And then we have Kate, who is somehow, she wasn't there for Alice's surgery as first intended, and now is sort of becoming like a bit of a friend for Alice. So there's sort of their timelines are all starting to cross over. So the story is just getting really good. Hence why I didn't check in at 100 pages. So obviously I'm not DNFing it. I'm actually really enjoying it. At first I thought I wasn't going to be able to deal with the content being, you know, women's cancers and all that sort of stuff. But I'm okay. I'm okay with it. So I'm going to keep going. I think there's only 300 pages in this. Yeah, 376. So I still have 200 pages to go roughly. So, but it is actually going really quick. Like, as I said, I didn't even realize that I had gone past the 100-page mark. So the narrator is really good in this as well. She flows really well. She doesn't have voice that you don't want to listen to. So I'm getting lost in the story, which is really good. And she's just telling me that story. So I thoroughly recommend it on audio as well. All right, I'm going to go and hang out some more washing, and I'm going to get back to my book and do some cross stitching. And I'm up to the last part of the alphabet on the cross stitch. So hopefully, once I get to the end of sprints today, I will only have the border to do. So I'm looking forward to that, because tonight, before I go to bed, I would like to do a little bit of diamond painting. So yeah, because I haven't done any of that. Anyway, I will check in with my final thoughts on The Mother's Promise soon. Hi everybody, I'm back with the final thoughts on The Mother's Promise. Now, I just finished sprints, and I just finished in the last sprint of the day, I finished this book. Now, I think I listened to this through every sprint except for my hour one, so I got it done from beginning to end. There is a lot that I want to say about this book, but it is very much going to give it away, and I don't want to spoil it for anybody. It has got some heavy topics in it, which I think I've covered already in previous clips, but I'll just reiterate them here right now. This deals with someone dying from ovarian cancer, and you find that out in the first page. Okay, we know that she's being diagnosed with that. Her mother also died from it as well. She has a daughter that is socially awkward. We also have a social worker who is in an abusive relationship. We have Kate, who is her nurse, who is having infertility problems. And all these women and Zoe cross paths. Zoe is really struggling with her social anxiety, so much so that she actually, and this is a bit of a spoiler, she actually pees herself when she gets really worked up. And like, she just really tries to work through it and is really struggling, and her mother is extremely worried about her and all that sort of stuff. But the main focus is on Zoe and Alice. I keep going to say Anna. Alice, and because Alice is the one that's passing, has been diagnosed and is going through all this stuff through chemo and surgeries and all that sort of stuff for ovarian cancer. And when she is diagnosed, she's at stage 3. Now, if you know anything about ovarian cancer, it's a silent killer. And basically, if you're at stage 3, the prognosis is generally not a great outcome. So you sort of get the general idea of that, and you sort of know that this is what's going to happen from it was like, I had to walk away from it because it was just so, like, there was so many things that were happening in this book that just were triggering me in so many ways. And I thought, like, I was on sprint and I still had my camera on, and I thought the last thing I need to do is bawl my eyes out on the internet. So I stopped as I was starting to tear up, and I walked away, and that was the best thing I could do, because then I could listen to the last couple of chapters and get through them. So I have given this a 4-star as well. So far that's 3 for 3 4 stars. None of them have been 5 stars. They have been 4 stars. They are an enjoy, like, really draw me in. And as I said in previous clips, like, I didn't even do my normal check-in. Normally I listen to the first 3 chapters, do a check-in, then I get to 100 pages. Am I going to DNF? No, I'm not. Or yes, I am. I didn't even do that. Like, I just kept flying past those stages. So it really did keep me drawn in. I was so keen to find out how it was all going to play out and all that sort of stuff. There were a couple of moments in it where I thought, there could have been a little bit more written there, but I understand why you haven't. So it wasn't all that bad. Now, the burning question is Sally Hepworth an author for me? I think she is. I think she has actually gone to my automatic buy, because these 3 books are very random. I hadn't read anything about them. I had no idea what they were going in. So I'm really happy that I have got to read these 3 books. So yeah, I'm going to keep an eye out in the secondhand bookstores for more of her books, and you know, when her new releases come out, I will get her new releases as well. Okay, so I'm pretty happy how this vlog has gone, and I hope that you've enjoyed coming along for the ride. It was pretty obvious that by book 2 that I think that everybody would have guessed that Sally Hepworth was for me. Now, I am really excited to actually give this another go. Like, I've got authors on my shelf that I've not read before. I've got Kate Morton. I've got 3 of her books there. I've got some Leanne Moriarty. I've got several of her books there. I've also got a couple of other authors and stuff like that I have never read before, but they are on my shelf because I've got them either through thought that they might be something of interest, or I've got them through the book boxes that I get from the book grocer. So it'll be interesting to see if I get any more authors to go onto my automatic buy. Are they all Australian authors that I'm going to try? Majority of them, yes, because a lot of I haven't read a lot of Australian authors, so I'm pretty excited about that. But that was the vlog for the Sally Hepworth, Try Sally Hepworth vlog. I've given them all 4 stars, and I'm hoping that a few more of her books will land my way from the secondhand sellers and all the new releases that come out. Like, these are all really in really good condition too, so there's nothing wrong with getting secondhand books. And I know that they're different sizes, and that is a bit of a pet peeve of mine, but anyway. Okay, so the next one that I'm going to try, I think, will be Kate Morton, because I just recently got 3 of her books, so that is a really decent chunk. And I believe that they're spaced out in years, so there's some closer to when she first started writing and some closer to now. And yeah, so keep an eye out for that vlog. And I just like to say thank you very much for everybody joining me today for this video. I really do appreciate it. I hope that you enjoyed it, and as always, if you have yet to subscribe, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the little bell icon beside it, and then that way you won't miss out on any future posts. Check out our homepage. You'll see a lot of reading sprints there, and also anything else that's happening will get put up on our community tab. But as always, that is it from me today. Have a wonderful day, everybody, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.